Welcome everyone to the FATED ARPG podcast, episode number 140. We've made it through the first week and handful of days of the 3.25 Settlers of Kalguur expansion, and our first impressions and expectations matches of the league have settled. We've done some shipments, we've done some farming, some of us have upgraded their town to full, and today we're going to talk about all the important money-making strats and the, people told me that my microphone was too low, so we raised the volume, but yeah. Hope everyone is doing well. I have some things to talk about. I'll bring them up at the end of the podcast because we're sort of... Am I blinking out? Is there internet problems? I hope this is not a consistent thing. It looks like it's going fine right now, so we're just frame drops issue. Oh my god, dude, no way. Why? All right. You know what? What we're going to do is I'm going to get in the boys, and then I'm going to restart my computer, and then we're gonna fix that, and I'm gonna hop back in. So, how are you doing today, Balor?
Fantastic. Really enjoying other people having technical difficulties. I know that's a little bit bad, but I've been having technical difficulties the last 2 days. I'm happy that it's not just me.
Honestly, I had the same thing when I was on the German one-on-one podcast with Loepi, and he had like super big tech troubles, and like he's always super impressive with his tech aspect of the stream, and I'm always like, wow, this guy's so good, he has it all figured out. And then he was also just a victim of circumstances. There was nothing that he could do. It was just like, wow, this is just not working, and I don't know why. So yeah. Let's hope that everything goes well once I hop out and in. But before we do that, let's get our guests in. Welcome, CrouchingTuna. How are you doing today?
Yo, doing well, thanks. Yeah, everyone can be a victim of technical issues, unfortunately. I'm pretty blessed, though. I turn on my PC and it just works.
It seems these days, nothing really helps. Anyway, another guy who is not completely immune to tech difficulties here with us on 2 accounts, one for the camera, one for all the audio. Please give it up for Arrow _.
Hello, everybody. Sorry for the 2 accounts, but we're here.
Well, not as bad as the lag that my presence seems to be introducing. So you guys get started, talk a little bit about your league progress so far, and I'll be right back in 5 minutes after I reboot the system and hopefully banish the lag. Be right back.
I'm mostly surprised that he can reboot as the host and not ruin. Like, how does that? I don't know how that happens. Because like I'm not a host here.
It's just like we just have the room just hanging around in limbo. I mean, because he doesn't run the software locally, right? Like this podcast software.
Yeah, StreamYard is like a thing. It's very cool.
What do you guys league start?
That's the good question. I did the Holy Relic, but most of the people from here already know about that.
Okay, cool.
I am playing Ice Shot of Penetration at Deadeye Mines, and it has been unbelievably fun.
The build.
That was on my shortlist. How tanky are you?
So it has the longest range clear of any build I've ever played. So tankiness is really only about when I run into like a Soul Eater hasted Giga Rare, because everything's just dead otherwise. I leveled to 97, and now I'm doing the Legion Scarab that allows things to respawn. So that was alongside of Beyond is very rippy, so I die all the time now.
Yeah.
But on the way to 97, I didn't really die much at all.
All right. What tuna start?
I went for LS Deadeye. I've always been a Lightning Strike enjoyer, so like if they buff Lightning Strike, it's like, oh, okay, cool. Played Lightning Strike a ton in the past. I think I even started it in like like back in like 3.14 and 3.16. So I don't know. Like I really like Lightning Strike, but since they since they buffed it and Lightning Strike of Arcing exists, yeah, I mean, like I think the skill is like insane. It's kind of just like a bow build, but with your fist instead, I guess. But it's like it's really been a lot of fun because Arcing, it's got like 11 chains, 12 chains on Deadeye, and so just like hitting the floor, and then you're just like watching your project go. It's almost like playing Melee Spark. It's like really fun.
I played Arcing last league in a very high budget build, and it was phenomenal. I don't really like Lightning Strike because of it getting stuck on things, but Arcing doesn't feel like that at all.
Yeah, because especially on Deadeye as well, like 30% chance to chain off terrain.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't really like aim that much. You're just like hitting whatever, and even if you're hitting a wall, it just bounces off the wall, and you take chaining range. So then you have like 30% extra range on that, and yeah, it just feels really good. Like in every layout, pretty much.
I wanted to start with the marionettes that got ruined. Found out like an hour before league start that my build didn't exist, and I was like, what do we do?
What did they do?
I just ended up Holy Relic, which Poison Holy Relic is still kind of stupid OP. I mean, I've spent the whole day today running 12 mod corrupted maps with a full pack size effect atlas. I've regularly got like 400 quant, 380 rarity, and 110% pack size. While I'm running around, I'm completely map mod immune to everything, so I have to check nothing. I can just run 12 mod maps all day. That's a lot of gold.
I was gonna say, what is 12 mod? What is that giving you returns wise?
Like, it's hard for me to tell because I've been continually dumping all of my profits into my guild tab, where my crafters take it to make more disgusting stuff for me. But like, I've made some disgusting gear upgrades, but I don't know what the profit over the day is because all the profit goes straight into crafters' hands.
He's got workers in his Kingsmarch and in his guild. I like that.
But I've progressed now to the point where, like, I was doing progression videos and I was like full poverty the first like several days, like 5 or 6 days, nothing would drop. I was like 5 days in, I had 3 divines total. We've finally broken out of that. We're now into like, I'm currently wearing 3 pieces that are like degenerate level. And then there's 2 getting crafted right now, more. And basically I'm going to end up in like, I'm slowly replacing 1 piece of gear at a time until every single piece of gear makes people go, what the fuck? That's the goal. Like I just want that reaction on every single thing you mouse over.
All right, I'm back. What did I miss? Apparently it works, and like everyone, did everyone already give their intro, or was that just Balor talking about his early league? Did I miss Tuna at Arrow?
Yeah.
Wait, yeah, as in everyone did it already. Damn, shit.
Yeah.
Well, I guess
your league starter and stuff.
I'm pretty poor. I did Glacial Hammer Slayer following like Goratha's build that he did put up as a league starter that he didn't like say he was going to play himself, but he was like, it's fine to league start with. And then obviously with the changes introduced in this league, like with availability of tinctures, with the melee buffs, and I think 1 or 2 other things, exactly, auto exertion I got in there for Ancestral Call to hit even more targets, right? And honestly, I'm having a blast. It's the best Glacial Hammer build I've ever played, and probably the best melee build that I've played in the past 2 or 3 years. Basically, since the meta where EQ Bleed Gladiator was played in Gauntlet, around that time, I think that was similar in power level, right? But I think my single target is better than that now, and yeah, I'm having a great time with the build, but it's sort of not the fastest mapper, so I'm thinking of running Dev's Oath again because there were some buffs to chaos damage over time. I don't know whether they're enough to make up for the power taken away in other places, but you know, it's itching under the fingernails because I like this off. But yeah, I'm probably the representative of the absolute casuals on this podcast because I've started a new job and I've had like very little playtime this week, and I'm at town rank 7 or something like that. Really not that far into the Kingsmarch progression, but you know, from what I hear is like at the top end there's a little bit of despair in regards to rewards, and I'm not there yet, so that's good, right?
Yeah, it'd be also interesting to get your perspective because there's a lot of things regarding the town which require like a crazy amount of upkeep on the top end, and still
Yeah.
I have
A
like
crazy amount of
like questionable rewards. Let's just say.
I'm
Well,
so
I've heard-
torn about the town.
That's the town.
That's the title.
Kingsmarch. There it is, right there.
So like I've heard at the top end that like if you put a lot of min-maxing and micromanaging time into it, that you can get from the mapping. If you put in like 8 mod Conqueror maps or something like that, I've heard you can get 5 to 6 divines per hour, but it's a pain in the ass to micromanage. And then like shipping can be 1 to 2 divines per hour. Is that like in line with what you experience?
The mappers themselves, the issue is that like that's only the case if they're all rank 5. And getting all your mappers rank 5 is really hard. It's really hard.
I mean 10.
Yeah. Rank 10, right? Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Rank 10. So the issue is that, of course, like you're just kind of sitting there like re-rolling. And, you know, like I've had like, maybe if I re-roll like 2 million gold, you find like 3 of the mappers. So it takes a long time to get good mappers. Especially since you need 6 multiplied by 3, and then sometimes they still die, especially if you're putting in, you know, like 8 mod Conquer or Shaper or Elder maps. So it's, I don't know, it's a little bit weird. Like, I think 5-6 divs an hour is very optimistic. Let's just say.
Okay. Fair enough. What's your take on all this, Arrow? Like, where have you found the profit in the league, or have you turned away from the league mechanic and searched for it elsewhere?
Quite the opposite. I've been loving the league mechanic. I can't say exactly my div per hour, but I have one map device that has, I think, 4 or 5 10s in it. And I'm running the 8 mod maps that my build can't run. And so it's not running full time, but it's a good way to get rid of the maps that I'm not able to do. And it's been pretty efficient. It's bringing back, I'd say every 3rd map is rewarding. And there's like 15 minutes per map. Whether it's a div or a Valdo's. Some of the rares that have been coming back, I've just been stuffing them in a dump tab. You know, it's like 3 or 4 tier 1 mods on just about everything. And results in some decent items. So I just grab the stuff that looks okay, and some stuff sells for a div, and the rest just sits there. So I've been enjoying the micromanagement aspect of it, and I think I enjoy it enough where the profits don't matter quite as much.
Yeah, that's fair to say. I think the mechanic can be a lot of fun if you're into that sort of thing, because it's very, very nicely designed, and you know, it looks neat. It does look like a little, you know, almost like a town management game, right? I mean, that's what it is. So probably not the worst if you enjoy that sort of thing. But I've definitely like heard from other people that they're already sort of burnt out on their town cycle, and they've just been looking to make their profits elsewhere and ignoring town for the time being.
I'm torn because my reward wise, it hasn't been worth my time. I should never have come here. But it's also like the most fun. I absolutely love it. I'm in here anyway. I'm running mappers anyway. I'm sending ships out anyway. If anything, I do feel like I feel like ore in maps should be scaling somehow with the amount of like quant or rarity or something on my map. Maybe not like 1 for 1, but like it should be, if you put in a white, like a scoured tier 16 map, you get 1,000 ore per map. And if you put in a 12 mod corrupted, you get 1,000 ore per map. I've got 300% quantity. I'm not getting any more ore. And I honestly actually think it might be bugged because I'm continually, by far, always out of ore. I only need 3 miners to mine all the ore that I can get, and my smelters can't keep up with it. The numbers don't match.
Yeah, that's true.
Like we've got way more miners than we would ever need. You couldn't speed run maps quick enough to keep him busy. I think we're supposed to have more ore than this.
And the miners are like the more common ones to find at T10 as well. So like all my miners would be T10, and then everything else is like
if you had 3 miners, I think you'd be able to keep up. Like if you had 3 tier 10s.
Upgrading my miners.
Yeah. And I think that it might be bugged. I think we're supposed to have more, but
I don't know about bugged.
You think it's just like a wrong number that someone inserted there, so it's like a flawed design, or you think there's actual bug that they like an oversight that they had?
Like if you're doing if you're getting like delve juice, if I put you in a 300 quant 280 rarity tier 16, you get more juice.
You get a ton more,
yeah. This isn't scaling at all. It doesn't scale. Just scoured white tier 16 maps, exactly the same as my 12 mod corrupted maps.
Which means speedrunning maps is the best way to do it. Just not even out and go. Just sprint into the map, find the ore, and leave.
Yeah.
Although, basically boss rushing with ore.
I don't think that that's meant to be the way it is. Maybe I'm wrong.
No,
Maybe it is meant to be that way. But
all right. Quick segue, because there's something.
Sorry, I want to mention that before we got, because like ore is not the bottleneck though.
No, it's plants.
So at least it's kind of just like whatever for ore. At the very least.
Yeah, I do feel like we don't have enough plants either. I want more.
Yeah,
I just want more of everything.
How many plots? How many plots do you have at the highest level? Is it still the 5 plots, or can you get 6, 7, 8? What is the max? You get 6.
Yeah,
6 is it.
But yeah, the numbers of the desires of the harbors that you can ship to, they grow really high, right? So it's very hard to grow the amount of crops and vegetables that they need. Is a pumpkin a vegetable?
Yeah.
Your ships get really efficient too, so it's like I can't even fill them up to send them.
Yeah.
Because they just don't have that much capacity.
I don't have enough stuff.
Yeah,
okay.
It takes so long.
I don't have enough stuff.
Yeah, I've done so many like tests to see, like try to get like max rewards by getting like ports that are accepting crops at like 130% value and all that kind of stuff, and they ask for like 65,000 pumpkins. Like, all right, that's like literally
2 days of farming.
Day of like half my plots.
Yeah,
right. It's like it's a bit much, and the thing is like the boat risk, which is usually like what you say, like, oh, I'm like risking now, I should stop, right? But if your boat is like full of rank 10 sailors, then it doesn't go up. So you can put up to like 20 million ship value, which is equal to like like 200,000 crops, and that takes forever. That takes really forever to get, and then you get back like definitely not 2 days worth of crops in my experience.
Well, it's hard to quantify the value of the runes, right?
Well, no, because you can just like list them on trade, but like the issue is that
easy to value them actually.
Fair.
But the problem is like the way that I'm quantifying it maybe is like not right, because I'm looking at it as like if I was to put any time into any other mechanic, I would get this much. But then again, this mechanic you're not really putting time because it's doing its own thing in a way, right? So it's like in tandem with other things is what's happening. So I'm kind of like not fair on the mechanic in saying that like it's not worth your time, because at the end of the day the time is passing as you're doing other stuff. But I do think it's it's worthy of waiting for week 1 patch before you send out your crops type thing.
Okay.
I'm actually surprised with the amount of mini patches they've had that they haven't tweaked it at all, because I love, to be clear, love the whole plan, the whole idea, everything, the city, the micromanaging part of it is fun. Like I want to do more town stuff. I'm just surprised it hasn't been like buffed a little. I don't even think the rewards, I don't even know if the rewards really need a buff. I think I just need more crops and more ore.
Yeah, I agree.
Like I just think those numbers are a little off. I don't. If you gave me more of those, the rewards would improve because I'd be able to fill orders. I can't.
Yeah. I mean, that's the same thing as improving the rewards, right? If you're getting more crops, that means that you can send better shipments, and which is like kind of the issue, is that like I'd be able to send like 1 boat a day that's worth like 10 million, and that turns like, where you might have seen some of the strats of people that are like, what people are doing is they're sending like the lowest minimum value that rolls for a rare reward, right? Which is like, so then you're just sending them at the 30-minute dock and hoping to get a div back, which kind of like I feel like is a little bit like goes against the sport, or the spirit of the mechanic.
That's what I'm doing, and I don't love it. Like I'd rather be
it's cringe. I'd rather be doing like the
much
big
rather
stuff,
be going
like
yeah.
Right, like another aspect of the league where we can, like a sink for our dust and our gold, similar to shipments, where I feel like the expectations don't quite match up to the reality of what is happening when you engage with that mechanic, is recombination, which has been advertised on the Q&A, I believe, as virtually unchanged from when it was back in Sentinel, with the exception of the exclusive mods no longer being able to spawn.
They didn't say that, did they?
I think that's what they say, that it essentially works the same, but you can't get the exclusive mods anymore. That was the gist of it, what I got. Maybe they like were a little bit diplomatic, and there's like, you could go back and be like, okay, but they didn't actually, 100% say that, but there could be some small numerical adjustments. But that's what I took away from it when they talked about it. And now, like me, myself, trying to recombinate, I don't think I have as much attempts, or as many attempts as some other people. I think, Tuna, you did like some experiments with recombinators, but I've never managed to recombinate spell suppression onto anything. And even though I only use evasion bases, and it's like, you can't transfer it to a non-evasion base type. Yeah. But like, I take 2 Silken Hoods, right? One has suppression and the other one has good resistance and life, and I try to combine it, and I never end up with a result that has the suppression on it. So I'm led to believe that they take the weights into account now, and that you're very, very unlikely to get the spell suppression because it just has such a low weight versus the other mods.
Especially if you haven't ranked it up to max. But like recombinators are completely changed. So yeah.
I heard, and I haven't confirmed this yet, but I would be interested in it. I heard recombinators in standard got all their weightings changed to this new weighting as well, and standard people were crying.
Yes. Also, they got changed not only to weightings, but like, for example, it's deleting legacy mods, and also it's not able to transfer fractures. So like they retroactively changed all the combinators, and people ripped like a lot of like legacy bases and stuff like that. But I mean, standard aside, like it would have been fine, I guess, like if they didn't say it was, because like that's exactly what I got from the Q&A as well. It's that like, oh, it's the same, you just can't get the special rewards. And so you know what I did day 1 and 2, and I just like cranked everything into the recombinator and used up like hundreds and hundreds of essences to try to like craft things, and just ended up being kind of like, yeah, which like I know that maybe if you do have the knowledge now and you meticulously plan your crafts, you can probably make some insane stuff. People will make insane stuff with them because it's still very powerful. But going into it with the like, with the previous knowledge that we had, and then like getting what we have was a bit like, slap in the face.
Have you had any time to experiment with the recombination mechanic this league, Errol?
So I successfully moved 30 quality over to a 86 base. That's all I've done, because I couldn't find a Harbinger bow with 30 qual that was 86. So that still works. I was able to up the item level of the base, and that's it.
Cool.
My understanding of all the things that I wanted to do is most of them don't work anymore. Can you still move two essences together? Does that work?
You
No.
can. Yeah.
You can with like flat essence ones. You can't do exclusive essence mods, or at least it doesn't seem like you can.
Yeah, it's
Like the misery, dread, scorn, and envy things. Like you don't seem to be able to mix them.
What about something like loathing, where increased mana reservation efficiency explicit on helmet or on body armor? Can you combine that with some other essence mode?
I haven't tried that yet.
Yeah, I don't think so. Like there needs to be more testing with this, I'll be honest. I haven't after like the massive disappointment that was like the first couple of days after getting my thing max ranked, I kind of just like stepped back from recombinators and haven't done much testing. But I know people are like collecting data for it right now, and they're like basically rebuilding the resource, which Iron built back in Sentinel League. So hopefully we get some more tech there, some more info.
Yeah, and then basically, my conclusion is the same as what you said, Tuna. Like, I understand why they feel that they need to nerf it, I guess, and it would be fine if it returned in a nerfed state. But yeah, like being led to believe that it returns in basically virtually unchanged with some exceptions, and then having a mechanic that doesn't really resemble what you remember is a little bit unfortunate, and almost feels like a purposeful deception. It's not my thing. Like people said that in my chat where they're like, oh, it's basically hype bait. They were trying to like tell you that it's better than it is, and people were so jaded by that piece that they like see that over all the entire Settlers of Kalguur trailer now. They're like, well, we were completely baited with this league. It's like we thought it's Generosity League, but it's Poverty League all over again. Do you think it would have been problematic to bring back recombinators at their full Sentinel power just for one league? I mean, seeing that there are an exclusive reward to this league mechanic, right? They wouldn't have gone core, they wouldn't have stayed, they would have been just around for this league.
I mean, nothing's a problem if you put it in only for the league, right? Like you can give anything. You have any amount of borrowed power, any amount of bullshit, anything is fine until you put it in the base game.
Yeah, I mean, look at Necropolis. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
We come from Necropolis. You could, like, whatever you imagine you could make. And, of course, at the expense of, like, super annoying gameplay. But
at the cost of fun. The low cost of fun.
But still, you can make anything. It's like,
yeah, anything is fine if you put it in a league mechanic. It becomes a bigger deal as soon as you go, oh, this is going core. That's when I'll go, excuse me, I don't know about this. But like before that, like I think do whatever.
This recombinator change is proof that people didn't really like recombinators. They liked making incredibly broken items.
Of course. But it's the case
with about recombinators for a while. I don't think they're a good crafting system. They just made items that were completely busted. And now that you can't do that, you just have the core function. They're not that exciting.
Well, I mean, a functionality for crafting can be super fun and exciting, but if the outcome is crap 9 out of 10 times, then obviously you're not excited about the crafting method. I mean, those things are intrinsically linked, right? I think it's still a fun mechanic because I still keep funneling my money into it despite not having seen any good outcomes, and I'll probably do some more after the podcast, but yeah.
Unfortunately, I think it's the exact same thing with the mechanic itself. It's like as much as like I'm not really a massive fan of like time gating, but I kind of do like the puzzle aspect to it, and like, you know, getting my boys, grinding the gold, re-rolling, finding them in place, and all that kind of stuff. But then seeing like the fruits of that labor has just like put me off, right? And it's kind of like the same concept as like with the recombinators, are just, you get the bases together, you look at the PODB, you get the crafts right, you put them together, and then you just like you just get shit. It's like, oh well, I mean, what the fuck. So let's go back to maps, right? Like, and maps are fun. It's like my little safe haven, so I'll just do that instead.
Fair enough. Yeah. How do maps feel like? I feel like a lot of people have said that they find the rewards a little bit underwhelming, but we're coming from extremely generous leagues like Affliction, which did add a shit ton of stuff to the maps, and then Necropolis, which also, it's easy to underestimate, but those extra mods and devoted modifiers and stuff like that, they did add a solid amount of loot to the maps, but now we don't have any like in-map extra loot. We have some encounters, some monsters, but it's really, on the whole, not that much. How does your average mapping experience feel like?
T17 is still ridiculous, which is, I think, the problem with maps. Is like this is a massive thing about Path of Exile currently, I think, which is like a huge issue. Maps themselves are actually like, they're fine, but the problem is that now you have T17 as like a measuring. That's what you're measuring with, and scarabs are, it's like the whole game is warped around T17s because
the scarabs pricing is based on their use in the tier 17s and what value they provide to tier 17s. If you were to buy scarabs for a tier 16 or tier 15 mapping, you'd be throwing money out the window because you're not getting the same returns on the same investment.
It is hard for me to. I like tier 16 blasting, and it's been hard for me to find a way to make that worth doing, because most of the scarabs I want to buy, they don't really work so well in the tier 16s.
Yeah, ambush are 11C a piece.
Yeah, I can't make 11C out of an ambush scarab.
No,
I want to, but I can't.
Of course, there's like a lot of other scarabs too, right? But yeah.
I find that Alk Go feels pretty incredible because you're getting a ton of ore that way. You're getting a decent amount of gold that way, and you're not spending any money. I had my headhunter 2 days ago from just Alk going.
What strat? Like, what was your atlas like?
Expedition, Legion, and beyond.
Blue altars or reds?
Red altars. GCPs we're selling for 3C a piece, or glass blowers, baubles.
The baubles.
Excuse me. The baubles. So just like a ton of small currencies, selling them a divine at a time, and Alk Go's felt great. As soon as I switched to try to do some Legion with investment, I went back to Alk Go. It just wasn't worth it.
Alk Go is strong.
I discovered the trick is that the nobody wants those add random modifiers because they add random modifiers and that can ruin you.
I've been using those too. They're really good.
So yeah, if your build can just ignore every single modifier in existence, then you can use some scarabs. As long as you're completely map mod immune.
Yeah, no, you print for sure. I've been like farming 8 mods and also T17s, like dropping T17s with those.
Yep. And
yeah, it's really solid. But at the same time, still competing with people farming 8 mods and T17s. So it's definitely less money. Like anything I think about, it's like, yeah, T17s would just do it better.
Yeah. Just don't want to make another tier 17 farm, man.
Yeah, unfortunately, tier 17 farms are the farms. I've been farming my own 8 mod maps, and I do 1 tier 17 and drop anywhere from 12 to 25 8 mods with like a halfway there tree and I don't know 20C worth of scarabs. So
yeah, it's ridiculous.
This is just unfortunately the best way to do everything.
The cartography scarab of corruptions are like 9 to a div now as well. So
they're really going up. Yeah.
When I bought them this morning, I was getting 15 to a div, and now they're already 9 to a div, and I'm like, I am not pulling out my own, even though I'm running 12 mod maps with 350 quantity in them. I'm not pulling out enough maps to pay that price. even though I'm using 4 of the plus randoms and the 10% more per, or like, well, I was using 3. I was doing 11 mods then because I was trying to do my own 8 mods. I was doing 11 mod maps with the normal one that gives you 10% per mod on your map, and I still was like, okay, but if I ran a tier 17, I get 3 times this maps out of it. That's why I can't afford the Scarab, is because you get 3 times as many maps running a tier 17.
I feel like the conversation around tier 17s has so consistently been, we don't want every strategy to need a tier 17, and they didn't hear us, and I'm very surprised about that.
I think it's a thin line to walk and like a tough balance to strike, because on the one hand, you don't want tier 17s to outperform everything else in the game, but on the other hand, you do. Like, you do want to give people an incentive to run them, like, besides them being the pinnacle content and you doing it for the EP and for the access to the Ubers. But like, they should, I guess, also be slightly more rewarding than tier 16s.
So they already give Uber fragments. That's the difference maker.
My thought was Scarabs and maps just don't drop there. And then you give it currency. You give it more normal like Chaos Divine drops and shit to make up for it. And they get Uber fragments and boss drops and currency. But you have to maintain your other strategies and your Harvest Juice and your Scarabs and everything else in lower tier maps. And you don't get tier 16 maps in there either. So it makes like, if you can't run tier 17s, now tier 16 runners can provide Scarabs and tier 17 maps and Harvest Juice and fossils and everything else that you could normally need to those people. Right, that was my idea.
That's brilliant. Let's make a bingo board. Send it over to Mark.
Yeah, make a bingo board.
Yeah, go for it.
It just feels odd that, you know, like the change where they made it so that you can spam like more Scarabs, more maps, and that kind of stuff. That was like my immediate thought was like, oh, there's no way that's going in next league. Like that's of course the first thing they'd look at to change. But no, they didn't change that. And that was the biggest issue. And so as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, I guess I'm playing SSF this league. But then my entire chat was like, you're going to play SSF in a league where they're introducing the exchange? Are you crazy? So then I went trade, and now I'm kind of like, honestly, like a little bit like, wish I'd played SSF.
Right. I got a related comment in chat that we can dismantle here. Right. Guys, don't you think it's unfair to people who bought premium stash tabs to give free trade to everyone?
Oh, God. Of course not.
Yeah, it's a little bit maybe bad faith.
So
or
jaded.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, jaded. Jaded is the right word. Yeah, this is like looking at it at the most negative light that you can. But just to be really rational about it, no, I don't think so, because premium stash tabs still allow you to trade and list items, whereas the free trade is just currency, right, and stackables. So,
like,
and it
shit,
doesn't
even
cost
if it was
gold.
everything. There's only 10 slots there. I got more than 10 slots in my stash tab.
Yeah, true. And also, like, people could free trade before. It was just annoying, but and now it's just like a little less annoying, right? Like, of course,
Forum trading.
You could still make forum trading and that kind of stuff. Yeah, but I mean, like, the market is going to be healthier the more people are in it, so it just benefits us all to just have like more trades and stuff. The problem is that like the exchange itself is probably going to need a little bit of tweaking to get it to the place where I feel like it's like actually very good. But regardless, I mean, like, there's no way that this is unfair in any kind of way. Like, you didn't pay for a ticket to trade. You kind of just like paid for extra convenience. So
right. Yeah. I mean, premium stash tabs are not just for trade. You can also name and color them, and that sort of stuff.
And, about an hour before the podcast, someone in my chat made 9 divines profit by buying divines from the trade website and selling them.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like the highest profit strategy this league is to flip onto the exchange. Like it's really bad. Like the state of the exchange is honestly really bad, and that's just because of the ratios that they've been using on there.
Okay, let's go into that in just a second. But like, how many times do you find yourself using the exchange? Do you use it multiple times daily, like once every couple days? Tuna.
Yeah, I mean, I use it daily, but it does feel like I'm kind of like fighting it a lot. But I mean, I use it. I really, really appreciate the fact that it's there. I really
Okay.
do. But the way that I use it has to be specifically like, I'm gonna put a buy order for things and let it slow buy, because otherwise, if I buy at whatever's set, like it's completely rip off. Anything you do is gonna be like 50% markup.
50%.
Sometimes
I mean, like if we're talking about like low stock commodities like scarabs and things like that, like you'll find a scarab that's up there for like 25, but on trade it's like 16 or something.
Okay.
Like the cartography scarabs that I was just talking about, cartography scarabs of corruption. People reply at 10. People reply at 10 to a div right now. But if you look on Faustus, there's 6 to a div, and there's only 20 of them before it becomes 5 to a div. But it's 10 if you go to the trade website. So you get this literally half price if you go do it manually instead of through Faustus.
Damn.
Yeah.
Have you made similar experiences, Arrow? Do you use the currency change a lot?
I love the currency exchange, but like Tuna said, I constantly feel like I'm fighting it. One is the bug where it doesn't show you any ratios. I get that 50% of the time. So I have to like log out and log back in. So that has been really disheartening. But when I do use it, if I just need, one tainted fusing, it's really good for stuff like that. But anytime I'm selling anything, I do it on the trade website. If I use it to buy things here and there, and that's about it.
Damn. All right. And so, do you have any like actual feedback in terms of like what could be done to improve it? Is it like are there design flaws that could be addressed, or is it currently just bad actors trying to exploit? I guess it's both, but like what could be done to make it better in your eyes?
I think integrating it with the trade website in some capacity would eliminate the dual market scenario that's creating the flipping problem. And also, someone who doesn't think about the trade website, maybe a newer player, will go into the exchange and go, oh, fusings are 3-2 of a chaos, but they don't actually know that there's 7 to a chaos on the trade website. And how would they know that unless they went and checked both? And the point of this was to eliminate the friction, not create, all right, well, now I have to check a website to make sure the price that I'm getting here isn't a ripoff, and adding extra time. You could have just gone to the trade website in the first place and saved yourself the time of checking both. So I feel like it's created extra friction as opposed to eliminating it. I
think the biggest issue is just that the way that they do their ratios is they're displaying what isn't selling in a way. Like so they're showing like everybody like buys everything out at the bottom, right? And then that's the price they display here, and nobody wants to buy that. But then what you're supposed to do is supposed to put a buy order at like that price, and then eventually gets filled because people see that like, oh, people are putting a buy order at this price. But on the opposite end, what you're seeing is like this price, because you're seeing like, 200 people have listed their thing at like 40% more than it's worth. So like noobs will just go in there and go for like the instant buyout and get scammed. But the way that you can like actually circumvent that is, when you control click the currency and it flips like I want to sell and I want to buy, like you can actually check the real ratio by doing that, because you can see that like what people are offering for them rather than what people are selling them for. And then if you put offers around the same price as what people are offering them for, eventually it gets filled. But it's just the way that they display their ratios makes the prices extremely inflated, and people are making mad money off that.
Okay, so let me paraphrase to make sure that I understand this correctly. So currently, the ratio that you're being shown is not based on the successful trades of that currency exchange, but it's based on the unsuccessful trades, the listings that still remain, which obviously have a lot of listings that are completely out of whack, right? Like completely wrong ratio, and that's why they're still listed, and that's why no one's buying them up, and therefore they give an incorrect reflection of the actual value. and people get the
Exactly.
wrong idea. Okay, yeah. So that
It's
could
not
be
even the
easily
wrong
helped
idea.
by
It's
just.
just people get scammed. You know?
But that could be easily helped if the ratio that was being displayed was based on the actual trades being done rather than the trades still being listed.
Yeah, exactly.
And like a trade history
Absolutely.
ratio instead of a what isn't selling ratio.
Yeah, like I don't know if you guys have ever played old school RuneScape, but that's how old school RuneScape does it, right? They just look at like they just create their own graphs based off of the average sell value of an item, and then what you do is when you want to sell something, you will just put the item in, and then you will click like -1%, and basically what that does is it goes like -1% the market value, and then it instantly sells. But if you go +1%, then it will slow sell. And it's the same thing as when you're buying something. You will go +1% and you instantly buy. And if you go -1%, it slow buys. So then like the fluctuation between the real price and what you're buying and selling is like between 1 to 2%. And of course, there's still going to be a natural curve depending on demand and supply, but that's not going to be like easily abusable by people who just like buy out the bottom 30% and then put it up by 30%, like if you know what I mean, right? Because you just don't have that kind of power, because it's like kind of sort of like dictated by the fact that there is a good guide price and people will be like listing it down in a way.
I don't actually know how to fix it. I know one thing, and I hate to say it because I don't like it at all. But if it were to become a permanent thing, the problem never gets fixed if there's two ways to trade still. If you leave the website able to trade commodities and you have an in-house auction house that's separate, this problem doesn't go away. Which means if you want to make it permanent, which I kind of do, you need to not have those options on the trade website, which I hate saying, but they need to not be there.
Wouldn't it
Could
be
you
like
not
the
just?
same...
Yeah, go for it.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, it's always a delay.
Like, what if there was no cost to listing, and then what it would do is if you would just like to like list your tab as public, it would just list those things, because that would already like circumvent the issue of like having to split or like having to like take one out.
Then,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that is the perfect solution if everyone acted in good faith and didn't use bots.
Why is the botting thing?
Well, because as soon as you make it completely free, like you don't have to play, you don't have to interact, you don't have to do anything. Suddenly, bots own the market on literally everything in far worse of a capacity than has ever happened in PoE's history. Like,
but you still have to pay gold to buy, just not to list.
Yeah.
Wait, but also to sell, right? Like, because currently you have to put up the gold to list, and then the buyer has to put up gold to buy your listing. But like, if listing was free, then as a seller, you'd still have to pay when the sale gets made, right? Like, but listing would just be a deposit, and if you unlist, you would get the gold back, basically.
No, well, what I'm thinking is like remove friction from like listing, and then like keep it there for buying. So like it's on the buyer to pay the tax, and of course bots still have to buy things in order to list them. So it still has that sort of like block there, but then it doesn't create this place where like people are not incentivized to list their stuff because there's a huge gold incursion going on. Like,
but then if there's no price to listing, like what is the actual incentive for people to do genuine listings instead of deceptive listings where they're trying to manipulate the market listing average?
Can't stop them if they're happening automatically.
But then that's the same as PoE trade. Like what's happening is that like the mass population wants to sell their stuff, right? And you're just kind of like putting hope in the fact that because that's a thing, then the prices will kind of just be like, regulated around that, because of course there are bad actors, but there's still a smaller percentage compared to the people who actually do want to sell their stuff. At least I hope, right? Like, maybe it's a bit idealistic, but I feel like if it works on trade, it should work also on the exchange. And of course on trade you do have fixers and that kind of stuff, but hopefully the ratio should be good enough to where like it sort of like sees the outliers and ignores those, and is able to like measure itself around like as you said earlier, sales rather than what's currently on the market. So like it will look at like, oh, 300 of these items in the past hour have sold at this price, so this is the value. Let's set that as the ratio. If you know what I mean, rather than saying like there's 200 listed at this price, therefore it's this cheap.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that goes hand in hand. Like, if you want to make the listings free, then you can't base the average price on the listings, because that would open the door to manipulation really hard.
Yeah.
But if the price that's being displayed as the average sale price is based on the actual sales being made, you are arguing that you could make listings essentially free, remove the friction, and make it so that what's available
again,
is a more accurate
exactly
reflection.
how OSRS does it. They're like they've solved this issue years ago, and I don't know why, but Path of Exile looked at Warframe instead, and Warframe's market is completely broken. And they're like, oh, we're just gonna copy Warframe's market. Like, why? The market sucks.
Well, I was expecting there to be some teething issues with the feature being implemented, right? Like, I mean, it's a great feature to have, and I'm happy they brought it to us. But I wasn't expecting that it was going to be perfect, like, the first time around. And with the first round of changes, they've been very responsive to feedback, and they implemented some quality of life. So I do hope that down the line we do get the appropriate response that will pull everything into the right. But yeah, I guess none of us are like real economy experts or game designers, so like all we can do is like, spitball and
yeah. It's our job to just complain because we're players, right?
That's what they want.
We're
They
not
want
here
us
to
to
like
say
fix things.
what the problem is, not try to give them solutions.
Yeah.
So
right. Okay. Well, let's move on from the auction house then. What is your actual like currency maker in maps? What are you doing right now? Like, I've been doing Expedition, and I've not made much money with it, but I did craft a +1 Chaos amulet with like attributes and something. I don't know what it had, and sold for 2 divines, so I'm happy with that. I mean, on my low playtime, right? Like, I only dropped 1 divine before maps, haven't seen one before maps, after maps, and then got like a 2 divine sale, and hopefully I'm doing fully invested Expedition now. I'm hoping to get some more items that will sell for a decent value.
Nice.
I am currently farming repeat opening legions with the I Shot a Pen miner, and it's really not accessible until you have either an incredibly strong build or a headhunter. But once you have that, at least on this build, it is it's ridiculous money. It's crazy. I'm over sustaining ornate incubators, which are, you can sell them for like 5C a pop, but also they just spit out divine, so I just run them. But I'm over sustaining by like 2x what I can run, just the ornates. So I've shut off almost all incubators, and I'm making a lot of divines just by killing monsters and having incubators on. But the mechanic itself is insane. It's completely breaking my computer, but it's been a lot of fun.
Right, is that something that you wouldn't expect to be recommending to a new player simply because of the high cost of entry?
Definitely not to a new player. So on the way here, though, before I got my headhunter, I did Alkengo Expedition and Legion, and it was phenomenal. I was flying through maps. I was getting all the gold I needed for my town. I was getting lots of ore, and I pretty much did that all the way to a headhunter. I never used any scarabs, never used any map device stuff. So the fact that that's
so you're basically telling me that I'm on a good path. Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah,
because
you're doing the right things if you're just out and going.
I did, to get to my degenerate state where I'm starting to get really good gear, all I did was I alkengoed Expedition and Invitations, it was just Maven invitations. I did a bunch of 10 ways to start with, and then I was like, well, I've got these Guardian maps. I'll just start doing Guardian rotors. And then that was it. Just Alkengo Guardian rotors, hit the Oppenheimer node on Expedition on the way past, and just Alkengo.
I had no idea I was being dubbed the Oppenheimer node. That's glorious.
A big bomba, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if it is being dubbed. That's just what I call it.
No, I've heard a few people call it Oppenheimer.
All right, cool.
I'm sorry for interrupting the conversation, but like something happened, Tuna, and your mic is all of a sudden twice as loud as it was before, including background noise. Maybe it was just like an automatic adjustment or something. Maybe it was from StreamYard because you didn't say something in a long time.
Of technical issues.
Oh no! Yeah, I didn't touch anything. I just muted for the bells, and now I'm back.
No, okay, it's fine. Okay. But there was like, in the meantime, there was like something that sounded like a pub, and then there was like really loud white noise, and now it's okay again. But like, I was just like, I don't know whether it was you actually with the background noise, so it's hard to tell anyway.
Unmuted, maybe it fixed it. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it sounds good now. I
live
just
in like the
needed to
city
bring it up.
center. It's really noisy. Like I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, Balor, you were talking about money-making strats still.
Yeah, so I moved on to these disgusting, like 12 mod corrupted stuff that I definitely die in. Like I'm level 97, but I'm not getting another level while I do this strat. I die just a little bit too often. I'll be 97 forever, but I don't know if I'm actually making more money than just Alken Go, because to do this, we're back to the Scarab thing, right? Like I could have just Alken Go'd faster, and even though that's less income, it's also not costing me Scarabs at tier 17 prices, so the profit is higher. So I think I was making more money before I started doing investments.
Yeah. You also like just find that a lot of your currency is tied up, so it's like the perceived value of it. Like I've found that like with high investment strats, like you probably are making more currency, but the issue is that it's like the currency is like sitting in all of these different things. But
you mean like you get so many different returns that you need to liquidate that it's like hard to.
I feel like Alken Go is like very binary, right? Like you have zero input, and then so you're just seeing like the pure profits.
Right, like anything that you get is just straight up profit. Whereas if you do the full investment, you have to liquidate the profits and then buy your resources again and then do the right.
I feel like most strats are worth so long as like. Yeah, I mean, like you're just like a little bit efficient about it, but I would probably suspect that like if you do actually like try to measure how much you're making, Balor, like you're probably making more than Alken Go. Like Alken Go is good, but it's not that good.
Maybe I'll have to try and measure it. It's just like I come out of every map with like 90 chaos worth of harvest juice, but like I'm using a Scarab that's like. I'm using one Scarab that alone is 55 chaos, and then I'm using 4 10 chaos Scarabs.
Oh, okay.
Wait, 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, and then I'm using 4 10 chaos Scarabs. So like I'm spending the amount of harvest juice that I've got. That's paying for it, and I guess I'm dropping some tier 17s, and. Like an occasional divine here and there, and like I haven't hit a divine altar or anything like that. So I'm not actually sure that I am making more money.
Could be that you might need to like tweak your strat. That sounds pretty shit.
But it's been the most fun because I'm running 12 mod corrupted maps. So I think I'm just giving up profit for fun because it's hilarious.
I mean, I do the same. I'm running T16s, so I get you.
Oh. But I might have to come up with a better thing tomorrow. I'd love to keep doing it, but it's not really making me money, so.
Well, Tuna, what are you doing in tier 16s?
Right now I'm kind of like just testing stuff, but I've had like a bit of a journey since League Start in regards to like Alice strategies. So like Day 1 and 2, I was rushing red altars. Day 1 and 2 red altars are really, really good. So you sit there, you just print chaos as well as all the other stuff, and you just like instantly liquidate them. It's really, really good.
Excuse the
So
interruption, but aren't red altars still very good? Looking at the chisel and GCP prices and all that.
not in comparison to blue, because blue
All right,
acres
fair.
are extremely expensive, and also blue altars drop scarabs as well as I know it's like cope, but the percentage chance to get a divine orb makes up for everything that red altars provides. And I know like it's like, oh, I might not ever get it. It's like you will, if you do it enough, you will. Like it's a very low chance, but you will if you do it enough. So yeah, I think like early red altars, and now you should be running blues, but it kind of depends, because like if everybody goes to blues, then it's not really worth it anymore, because of the fact that then like the acres will just be like cheaper. But in general, acres are going down in price. So yeah, you are kind of like banking on the scarabs as well as that sort of stuff. But yeah, they wanted 2 red altars, and then I spent 2 days in ritual. I could tell you that like I would have had my mage blood 2 days earlier if I didn't do that. But then again, if you get lucky, you know, which like ritual is a very high variance strategy, and I know people that did get lucky, as well as I know people that didn't get lucky. So it's sort of like you roll the dice on that one. If you do it for long enough, you will get lucky eventually. But at that point, I feel like you have invested a decent amount into it, because the supplies for it are actually pretty expensive. So like if you invest 20 divs in scarabs and you do it, and you might just be negative 20 divs by the end of it, or you might luck out and get a frenzy ring early. So if you do get a frenzy ring early, in my opinion, just cash out, like just stop doing ritual. But yeah,
but if you're not getting one, don't stop before you hit it big, like basically the gold digger meme, right?
Well, I stopped because I was like, this is not for me. I don't like these kind of strats where I'm just like not seeing anything until I see something big.
I'm hearing keep gamble until you're successful.
Yeah, that's literally what ritual is. It's terrible. It slows your maps down so much as well. And it's like a recurring meme in my channel. Everyone's like, ritual's buffed, you know, because they just got something big, and it's like for another day it's like ritual's nerfed because they just got nothing.
Do you use the thing that makes it so you can see like a full window of items in ritual?
Yeah, you kind of like if you do ritual, you have to use that.
That was so awful to look at, and I would spend so much time shopping that I could have run an entire Alk and Go map just in the time I was looking at the window.
You do look at it a lot.
I can't do that, Scarab.
You need a filter, and you also need to have an identified rare filter, because the rares that you find in there are pretty good, and if you just chuck them up in a tab for one div, they do sell. So that's kind of like
identified rare filter.
You make it on filter blade, You gotta make it. You gotta go through and like type all like if it has more than 2 of these affixes together at tier 2+ or 1, then it's like,
what is this last epoch?
So annoying. Literally, bro. It's literally that. Yeah. But that's kind of like you should make an identified filter for the lead mechanic too, because a lot of the profits do come from rare items, especially from maps and boats. Like
I've just been looking at all the items like an idiot.
Has anybody made a module for that yet?
Well, there's one in Filter Blade.
No, a module that you can share.
Baylor, it sounds like you're pretty good with the modules.
Sounds like a job for you.
Yeah,
this looks like a job for that.
I'll make an ID'd module.
Please DM me when it's done.
Yeah.
Okay, but so you didn't tell me about the filter before, so it's even a higher investment strat than you led on to believe, right? Because you actually have to do the time investment of setting up the filter.
Yeah, so that's why I quit. And then I went to essences, and essences are insane. Like I did essences for 2 days. Really annoying to buy the calcified scarabs, but you know, the full scarab thing, like it's absolutely insane. You do T8 maps. I was making crazy profit doing that, but I got a little bit tired of doing that, so I did essence memories, and essence memories were good as well, varying between 1 to 2 div profit per memory. So that was like pretty cool. You'll be able to do like 5 memories per hour or something like that. Maybe more if I wasn't like messing around with chat. So I did essences, and actually that's how I got Mage Blood in like 2 days of just spamming essences like 10 hours a day. And then I did Abyss. Abyss is interesting, but you have to click all the little hordes as it goes along. It sucks. but then you just dump all your jewels into like 1 div dump tabs, and they're still selling to this day. So that's like
Does
kind
the
of cool.
Spellcaster Mastery work with the Horde?
Yes, and it's fantastic.
And that's why I quit, because I'm playing Lightning Strike. So it's like, if you're playing a caster build, it's cool. If you're not playing a caster build, yeah, tough shit. Don't do that.
That's also why I quit doing Abyss, because I can't take the caster mastery. But it is 100% like good money right now.
Yeah.
If you can get the caster, opens all the things. I counted them. It's about 25 to 30 hordes per crack, of which you have 6 of in your map, and it's just too much. You can't open them all. But if you can take that caster mastery, it's good.
It is very, very good. Yeah. Legit good. And especially now the demand for these eyes is like higher than ever because of melee builds needing flat to pop off.
It used to be like Ghastlies and bow ones were the only ones that sell, but now your Murdering Eyes sell as well. That's just straight up better.
Yeah, they're like really insane. Like a good Murdering Eye can go like 20 divs.
Yeah.
So, and actually the Ghastlies are insane too. Like I have so many minion Andes buying Ghastlies.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, the farm that I ended up on was like 10 mod. So like 10 mod adding the Scarab that gives 2 additional mods, and then 8 mod farming. And I average about like 1 T17 every like 2 to 3 maps, and also about like 10 8 mods, as well as like all the other drops from like altars and stuff like that. So that in my opinion is like the most fun farm that I've done so far, because as Balor said earlier, the pack size and all that kind of stuff just feels good. It's really fun. And then you have like all the altars, which are like buffed by that too. So if you find like, if you find a divine altar, you like, that's cool, I suppose. But all the other stuff as well. And yeah, now I'm farming exiles, but I'm not really like super profit focused at the moment. Just trying to find the fun. But yeah, so highly recommend Essence and Essence Memories. 8 mod farming until the point to where people stop buying them is really good, because I think the market is going to get really saturated. Blue Altar is also really good. Ritual is, if you like gambling, I suppose. I feel like Ritual is one of those things that if you do have your Mage Blood already and you don't care, you should do Ritual. Otherwise, if you're like on that upward climb, just do like Essence or, all Blue Altars and that kind of stuff.
I actually think if you look at it, if you were like to look at, instead of profit per hour, if you were looking at it as like profit per 100 hours, I think Ritual would come out really high. Like, I think it is actually a very, very, very profitable strat.
Yeah.
It's just so long between the profits that you could easily spend 40 hours and be like, I got nothing.
Yeah.
And then
I think 40 hours is a lot, but definitely, yeah, it's like one of those things where like, if you're not doing it for more than like 20 hours, you're just not going to get much. Like, you can easily go negative 50 div on Ritual.
Like, easily make it that far.
That sounds painful. What I heard about this league, though, is that Ritual is such a... the combination of Ritual and the actual league is a meme, where people like throw Ritual on their maps just to get the increased quantity on the first pack spawn from the Ritual, and then they abandon the Ritual afterwards. They basically just run Ritual for the extra gold in their maps.
Yeah, like I'm running Ritual right now, but because I'm spawning exiles in the Rituals, and then they respawn every time, and I'm putting loot tiles on them. So like Ritual is a very cool mechanic for using it as a mechanic, but as looking at the window and getting the rewards, that part is just pure dice roll.
Yeah, so the face value of the mechanic itself, it's not that great, but the interactions with the other mechanics
is very cool mechanic in that regard. Because also it spawns like massive packs, and those count as like native monsters, and native monsters have like a different type of like drop pool almost. Like, for example, memories will not 100% confirmed, but memories like Atlas memories and stuff like that drop only from native monsters. So yeah, like that kind of stuff like is also pretty interesting.
All right, there's been the question to get links for your Atlas strats. I'll ask you again after the podcast to send me some links, either to a video or to your Atlas trees that you would recommend. Balor already said type !Atlas in Balor's chat. I'll also link whatever is the result from that command in the description box to make sure that everyone listening.
in the private chat here if you want to link it in the chat. It's just
Sure.
Ingers because like I've been hopping around so many strats, but yeah, the trees and the scarabs are all there.
All right, awesome. Tuna strats. I'll post here. I had a quick, small little question to interject earlier when we were talking about like how you were running additional mods on your maps and you had to have a build that can run basically all map mods. What I find myself struggling with now that Sextants have been removed last league, or was it the league before that, is how do you easily set yourself up to be able to run reflect maps now? Is there still a way to easily get reflect immunity on elemental and physical builds? Is it the masteries? Or like what is it? How
Smoke gems,
support
right?
gems?
Well, elemental is weaken elemental damage with attack skills, and physical.
Oh right.
Slayer.
Doesn't woke brutality give? No.
No. What I would suggest is like if you're playing softcore, if you're playing hardcore, obviously don't use the scarab. But if you're playing softcore, put a Syllab's Lament in your inventory, and if you hit the first pack and you die, equip the ring and with the mastery.
That is what we used to do.
I love that.
That's what I did until my elemental damage with attacks was level 5. It's like I would just walk in and then it's like, oh, okay, put on the ring. Yeah, and with the mastery, it's Yugal. But the thing is, like, you also have to be shock immune, because if you do take increased damage, you still die, even though you're 100% reflect reduced.
Oh right. Right, because you
Reduction.
take more than 100% reflected damage when
Yeah,
you... Oh
exactly.
god. That's such an obscure, silly interaction. That should be multiplicative and not additive with each other.
Right. Yeah.
It's funny though.
Yeah, it is, because before I was reflective, ailment immune, there was like a shock round map, and I was like dodging the shock down the floor. Like, I don't want to waste this map, bro. Just like jumping between them. I wasted the map in the end. If anybody wants to know the end of that story.
Damn. All right.
Put my strats in our chat as well.
Awesome. I'll put them in there. And well, we talked about farming for profit, but like if you wanted to min-max for gold, that's also been a question. Are there any other strats that deviate from what you said right now if you're chasing big gold rewards that you would recommend?
Tier 17s.
Yeah, tier 17s are a lot.
Yeah, they're all the gold.
But like
how much more gold are they?
It's insane.
Like 55 to 70k a map.
Okay, that's a lot.
Yeah.
I was getting about like 20-25k doing the 8 mod map farm. So that's still like really good, and you're able to do maps very fast in comparison to T17s. So actually per hour, I was getting a lot more than T17s. Because T17 maps are like huge. They're like 3 times the size of a T16.
To be fair, my current farm is giving me about 40,000 a map.
Yeah, exactly. Like adding, like what you're doing is essentially the same. Like basically like adding map mods and pack size and quant and that kind of stuff. And if you add beyond on top of that, then you're making so many gold.
I don't have beyond. I'm stupid.
Well, I mean, if you want gold, right? But
I need
beyond
to add
sucks
beyond.
otherwise. I'm my opinion. I don't like beyond. It's like makes your maps so much slower.
The problem that I had with Beyond is I feel like if you put any sort of investment into Beyond, you have to have the keystone where bosses don't spawn, because otherwise like the Beyond ends like 20, 30, 40% into your map.
That's not the case if you're doing fast maps, though. So when I was doing Alcan Go with Beyond, I was trying to force the boss, because if you do a map in 2 minutes and you kill the boss in that 2 minutes, you're getting 3 to 4 currencies and maybe 1 other from the map. And that's a lot of currency in 2 minutes for Beyond. But the value of Beyond currency has plummeted in the last like 3 days. So I don't know if I still recommend it for that.
I think what you said is exactly right. There's like 2 ways to farm Beyond. It's you're farming Beyond for like the monsters and packs and stuff like that, or you're farming Beyond for the currencies, like the tainted currency. Best way to get tainted currencies through the boss. And otherwise, then yeah, as Catmaster said, take the keystone if you're doing it for, trying to get like scarabs or div cards and stuff from them instead.
And gold.
And gold. Yeah.
So I know that this isn't like the thing, but quite often what I'm min-maxing for is just the most amount of mobs in my map, because what I really want to do is kill as many mobs as I possibly can all at once. And like quite often I will go down the road of this is less profitable and it slows my map down by 3 minutes. But there's an extra 4,500 mobs in my map and I just want that. So sometimes I do that.
Fun is pretty important. That's something I have to remind people of very often in PoE, that if you min-max all the fun out, then probably will burn out pretty quick.
Yeah, exactly. And if you burn out, you're not making any money at all. So the best money-making strat is the one that gives you the most fun and burns you out the least, so you can play it the longest and the most consistent and like, you know, be productive. Absolutely. Which is why I also engage as much with the town as I want to, right? Because I think it's fun, even though it's like probably less efficient and slowing me down in terms of, you know, goals and money making in the long run. But then again, you also have to engage with the town to eventually get to the point where it's fully upgraded and where it is kind of worth it to engage with it, or at least, you know, marginally so in comparison to doing it on the way there. I've heard from various people that I shouldn't even be doing shippings, or now also heard recombinators, or pretty much anything in the town you shouldn't be doing unless it's fully upgraded, because it's so much better when it's fully upgraded.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when it's fully upgraded, you shouldn't be doing it because you're just waiting for the buff. And then when we get the buff, you shouldn't be doing it because it's so much worse than T17s.
But what do you do with the gold from the tier 17s if you don't put it into your town?
Flip on
I'm
the
just
market.
kidding. Obviously, I'm just kidding. It's just kind of like the idea is that like you just should never be doing anything but T17s. But like at the end of the day, as you said, like just do what you find fun.
Right.
So
Right.
I think the strat came from Steel, is the one I'm doing now, which is not efficient and not the way I wish to do it, but it's something while I wait for hopefully a buff to happen, which is just send boats out as quick as possible. 500 of every, or 1,000 of every food, and like I'm sending 10,000 dust, which is all those numbers, basically nothing. That's all very little, and just send all day, everywhere. And like, I don't know, every 5th or 6th boat comes in with a div in it.
Yeah.
It's just one div, but like
And some
it's
runes.
some pretty
The runes are
passive
nice.
income. You get to some runes. You get to fight the boss every now and then when he
Yeah,
When he,
big gold too.
jumps your ship, and that gives you like 50,000 gold, and it doesn't use a lot of my resources. So
Why a little bit of everything? Is there an idea behind that specifically?
no. So the idea is that maybe maybe sending more things is like a multiplier, but like that's also just an idea. And this was like solved on day 2. We had people, I'm sure everyone here had people coming in, it's already solved, all the things are up, and then like a day later someone else is like, well, here's the data that says that isn't true, this is what I think is happening. And then people are like, this person solved it, and then now it's been a week and it still changes every day, so who the fuck knows?
I think the idea though is like, if you don't like send things, you don't have the potential to get anything. So it's like if you don't send the ore, you can't get the headhunter. That like the 0.01% chance. I think that's the idea, if you ask me.
All right, well, I'll try it. I'll let you know. I've just been trying to meet the requirements that each port is asking for. And it's been a little bit frustrating because like right now I have 3 towns that want 90,000 or more wheat. And I can't make wheat. It's going to take me a month to fill those out.
Yeah.
So I think I might try your strat.
Go full wheat farm.
Yeah.
Even if you put like all your farmers on wheat and like put the maximum rank of farmers in there and like get the most qualified workers and have everyone working on that goal towards that goal.
Only like
It takes
I
a
don't
long
know,
time.
10,000 an hour or
It gets
something.
worse if you do that though,
Yeah.
because like you miss, like it's like You get crop yield per different crop being farmed as well. So
Wait, what? You get more yield per different crop? Oh, so it's like
Yeah.
crop rotation
That's the
kind of. You need
upgrade.
to have the other ones in order to get the main one.
You get punished for doing just one thing, but you're constantly getting bottlenecked by one thing. So
You do get there's only 5 plants and there are 6 plots. So whatever, so you get to like double up on one.
Okay, that's really counterintuitive.
And then that's it.
I was not aware of that.
Oh, and now I have to share this with everybody. If anybody, especially all the viewers as well, if you go to your Kingsmarch town and you open the like town planner, right? And you just click on farming. And if you have a look at the ones that are all the way up the top left, for me, it's wheat here and then corn here. And then you walk over to the farm, they're reversed. They're in the wrong order. The one that's on the right is on the left, and the one that's on the left is on the right.
They ruined.
Why did you tell me that, dude? I had not noticed.
I'd say I'm sorry, but someone told me, and it's been really upsetting. So I need to share the misery.
Yeah. Share the load of the knowledge. Truth is too hard to handle by yourself. All right. We had a question in chat that I didn't quite understand, or a comment in chat, which was they made rares on the ground good, which has been a mantra GGG kept preaching. Has there been anything done for rares on the ground that I'm unaware of? Like are the average rares that are dropping better now?
No.
I have found like that early progression felt a lot better because of the gambler and because of like the items that were coming back from the boats and stuff. And
But not
also in
because of
general,
drops.
people are picking up rings and they're seeing 100 life, so I think that feels better. So in general, I feel like early game does feel a lot better. Like for me, it felt very smooth. Outside of the fact that I play claws, and claws are like plagued by the fact that they have an intelligence requirement and roll mana and stuff like that. But like aside for that, I think rares felt pretty good actually. Like aside for like jewelry and weapons, I think like boots, body, gloves, like all that kind of stuff felt pretty good. So I could see that. Yeah, I could see how somebody could be like, "Yo, it's better."
Having 100+ life on 4 gear pieces by level 50 was pretty wild. And that definitely made things feel a lot smoother.
I did buy a 111 life ring off a vendor in like Act 6 for like an augment or something. It was just magic and that's all it had. And then I found myself at the beginning of Yellow Maps, having not crafted on it yet. It was still just a life roll. Oops.
That's crazy. Yeah, I had like something where I had like an insane life roll on. Oh wait, I had no idea. Wait, why are you seeing my? Oh, I'm dumb. Seeing my game because I pressed the wrong button. There we go. Back to the camera. No, I had like some double tier 1 prefix boots that had like more than a 170 life. I think it was 177 or something like that. And I was like, wow, this is dank. This is like really sick stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously it's because, and this is like a reoccurring theme, I feel like this is both the reason why we feel so good about these life values and the reason why a lot of people feel so bad about like loot in every new league, basically, is that I feel like there's a tendency among PoE players to evaluate everything or the value of everything in context of previous leagues, right? But not compare it to like laterally to what's happening right now and what other people have, but always comparing to what I had in the past. And that's why life items feel so good for me, even though, I mean, the life value on the higher items, since on all items there's higher life values, it doesn't matter as much as you'd like to think, right? Because because one item has 170 life, other items that you could have in that slot would also have more life than they had before, so it's not quite as huge. Is that something that you observe as well in yourself, or either in community viewers?
I mean, of course, that's like a human thing, no? You have to like judge based off of like your experiences.
Fair.
I feel like that's just natural.
No, but like the way that why I'm bringing this up is because I feel like if you were a new player starting in this league, you'd have a better time than you'd have startings in, say, Sentinel, even though Sentinel was way more generous. But like this league is so cool for new players, or any player who doesn't have the context of PoE in the past. If you have PoE in the past, then you kind of feel like, oh, this is not as rewarding as I'm used to. But in terms of systems and like the overall gameplay loop, I'm having a lot of fun here. I don't know. Is that something that you would agree with?
I agree. I think the game is like, it's better, much easier in the early now than in previous leagues because of like the gold respec and the fact that like base armors give a lot more defense, and the fact that you also get a lot more life and all that kind of stuff, right? Like base defenses, they honestly mean so much now in the game.
The
so
new
like
bases are so
yeah,
good.
the new bases are insane. And so in general, I think like, yeah, it's much better off for a new player who will just like pick up items off the ground and run like an Alkengo type build. But I mean, for us, like we have the context of history, right? So we're looking at like, but it's different when you talk about character power and rewards. It's a completely different argument, in my opinion, because rewards are always comparative to also like other strategies, and I don't know, it's much more complicated, I think.
One thing I didn't think I would find myself doing that I'm doing is I find myself, or at least I did find myself, even though I had really good rolls on my gear, actively looking to replace it with better bases, which is not something that I've usually cared about for most builds in the past. But I'm just like, well, I can get these exact rolls, I can get another 400 flat armor if I just have
so
this
much,
on a good base.
And getting prefixes actually matters in a way that it didn't before. It was just crafted life and something else. Now you're like, if I can get tier 1%, these boots are going to have 800 ES or evasion and armor as well. So truly
800
like,
ES boots confirmed.
Yeah, no.
800 ES. Let's go.
You can make
that's really
ES hat, I think.
Yeah.
Sorry, what were you saying, Tuna?
I think you can get really close to a 800 ES hat now.
That's crazy.
It's gross is what it is.
That.
Yeah, I actually need to check on the trade website and see what the highest value hat is. That's a good call. But yeah, no, I agree. How have you felt about the block change, where you can't roll like additional block on shields anymore as a suffix, but it's now a prefix for increased block that increases the base block on the shield, and it competes with life and the other defenses?
Right.
Great. Kind of like it.
Makes the base matter more, right? Because it's multiplicative with the base. It makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair. That makes a bigger difference for the base.
It's defense, but not resistance, and now it competes with other defense mods, which also matter now, right? Like if I'm getting armor and an armor shield that's also trying to block, now the resistances are on that side, and all my other defense are on this side, and they're all competing, and I kind of like that more too.
Yeah, the suffixes have always been the bottleneck of a shield anyway, so I'm okay with that.
Nice.
And then there was something else on items that I wanted to bring up, but that I forgot again. But I'm looking for helmets now. Let's see. I can't find anything above 600 on the market. I guess they're always instantly sold. Someone makes something.
Maybe you'd have to go for like a synth implicit for that to be a real thing.
I got the highest
just
598 here that I find. A Lich's Circlet. Listed at 80 divines. Yeah, that's pretty wild, 598. I remember times when people were completely happy having that as energy shield on their body armor.
Yeah.
Now you can get 800 with a life roll.
Yeah, true.
Okay.
Like, you can get 8KS with like garbage. No, like it's legit insane.
That's crazy.
Yeah, okay. I'm seeing that too. 598. But if you were to go for like a ES synth, I think you can get that to like 700. Say, I think 700 ES hat is possible. Maybe even more.
Probably. And can you still get it to 30 quality? I assume so, because that one's also only 28.
Yeah, these are
And
28.
since quality is multiplicative now, it matters. Where previously quality was additive with the explicit increases on the item, and now it multiplies with them.
I'm seeing 129, so yeah, 30 is possible, but it's like a drop only thing.
Crazy. Right. Let me see. We had also other things we haven't talked at all about yet. Affliction. That's another thing that like we were not completely informed of, like how changed it is. And like, have you guys done your fair share of Wildwood into your 16s and 17s?
I stopped doing them.
Yeah.
they
You try again
are
after the buff?
incredibly challenging and not rewarding.
Did you try again after the buff? Because I did.
I didn't feel a difference.
Yep.
Yep.
Nope.
It's garbage.
The only thing that you can feel is how challenging it is. You can't feel how rewarding it is. It doesn't feel like anything's different.
Oh, it absolutely makes them tankier.
Yeah.
Yeah. It absolutely makes them wreck you.
Like if you're
They don't
already
drop anything
juicing your
different.
maps, you just are making immortal monsters that drop 140 gold.
Yeah. They don't even drop more gold. They drop nothing different. It seems the same.
Okay, it reminds me a little bit of the access to Wisp empowerment from last league. Was that on the passive tree or was it from a Scarab? I think it was from passive tree. Scarab? Okay. Yeah, like I remember trying it.
As well.
Yeah, exactly. That's the one that I tried, and I felt it was like not helping me at all with rewards, but just making my maps take infinitely longer. So that's really
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of stupid that you only engage with those things at the point where the extra challenge doesn't pose a difference to you, right? Like when the extra challenge doesn't mean you're spending more than like say 0.1, 0.2 seconds additionally, then you're gonna opt in because you might be missing out on bigger rewards. But like until you're at that point, it's just so much more work that it's the little bit of increase in return doesn't.
You'll never be at that point with this mechanic. Because they get tankier and they also get insanely rippy, right? They get like capped crit, multiple proj, and like 90+% damage reduction once you get a bunch of wisps. So no matter what you have, unless like you're Exodia, like you're just gonna be slower.
Right. There was also another thing that was added from the Wildwood that's called, that's an NPC called the Nameless Seer, who can now spawn randomly into 16s and 17s. And he also can offer you to scry a map's divination cards rewards, which means you can change like what the diff card pool is on map A with the diff card pool on map B. And
to be clear, they don't swap them. So many people keep thinking they swap them. They're not swapping them. Whatever map you find the seer in, you're copying those cards over the top of another map you pick.
Oh, right. So you double the maps that have those returns. Then both maps will have the same. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was swap. Override. Okay. Good clarification to make. If that misconception is out there in more people than just me.
Oh, it's super common. Yeah.
If only it were swap.
Right? Swap.
Because then it would go both ways.
No, because then you wouldn't have to farm the map that you don't want to farm in order to get the cards onto the map you do want to farm. Because now, right now, what you have is
the defiled cathedral. Until
you have people like they have people stuck in prison. They literally call it like defiled prison. It's like, oh, I'm fucking sitting here for 3 days. They buffed the Nameless Seer a lot now, but still.
Well, they fixed the bug. So my experience was, for 2 days, I ran 300 Sepulchre maps trying to get the Doctor card moved. And it turns out that the bug was when you killed the monster that was tied to the seer spawning, it would spawn in a random location on the map. Unless you would run back through your map, you'd never find him. So the way that I found him was I got to the end of that map, and it's the Doedry boss. Put 7 altars on the boss, and she just one-shot me. And I didn't have a portal down because I wasn't dying. So I run back through, and there he was. In a spot that I totally cleared. And 300 maps in, and I was like, oh, so it's actually bugged. And then the next day they fixed it. So
they also didn't.
So you would have. You would have actually missed that one if you hadn't died.
And so how many did I miss? Now that it's fixed, I see a seer every like 25 maps.
Yeah, I've seen like
boy.
5 seers today. But the people who were getting Defiled Cathedral back before I was, from my chat, were all saying, oh, we're running Defiled Cathedral twice. Like, we run the map and we just don't bother looting anything or picking up anything at all. And then we run around a second time looking for the seer because it could have been anywhere. And that's fixed now, luckily.
Yeah.
You don't
Is
have
he
to do
still-
that anymore.
Is he still so hard to spot like he was during Affliction? Like where he is like kind of like merging into the background until you hover him and you get the label? Or is
He's
it
on
like...
the mini map. So
Visually, he's still that hard to see, but he shows up on the minimap with a name and a little cross and everything immediately. So,
All right, fair.
and we're all just looking at our mini maps anyway, right?
Yeah, exactly. Full zoom in, full screen minimap. Everyone just playing
so
on the
big
minimap.
question is, what map did everyone scry? Like, what cards did you steal?
I took Sepulcher for the Doctor card and Brush Paint and Palette, which is I think the enhanced card. Haven't gotten a Doctor yet, by the way. Like 600 maps in. But I have a Headhunter. I just bought it, so.
I moved the Mage Blood card, but I can't quant farm. There's no quantity, and maybe I never see a card. Maybe I should have gone for something a little lower value.
A little more common, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what the really interesting thing is? That like cards that used to be boss related are now global. So things like Divine Beauty is now a global drop, and its weighting didn't change. So that is actually something to consider. Like that I might change to as well. It's like I might look to change my div card for something like Divine Beauty or I can't think of cards off the top of my head, but you know what I mean.
What do you mean by the weighting didn't change?
Like the weighting of the div card, like the drop chance, basically.
But the drop chance before was based on you killing one boss per map, right?
Yeah, but it's so like map bosses themselves would have like it's kind of almost like unique tiers in a way. Like you're still way more likely to drop a Headhunter from a boss because of the fact that it has like a massive multiplier or something like that. But because you don't kill many of them, you don't drop many.
Okay.
I think like div cards work sort of like that, but I don't want to like mislead or say anything. It's kind of just there's people that like do these kind of things, like in the fish court and whatnot, that will then like report on these things, and I'm just kind of parroting that a little bit. But like,
Fair enough.
hey, I'm not a scientist in div cards, so I'm just kind of parroting here a little bit.
Okay, so you're just like basically telling us your religion when it comes to div cards, what you believe in, how it works.
Yeah, I believe in the fish court, exactly.
I subscribe.
Does anyone
Subscribe to the Church of the Fish Court.
Does anyone know if I am only allowed to have one scry total on my whole atlas, or if it's that each map can only be interacted with one time?
Yes, each map.
Right. So if I've like right now I've sent Defiled Cathedral to Jungle Valley. Let's say I'm like, I'm gonna do a strat where I go farm dunes for a while. I could do Underground Sea, send it to dunes at the same time, and be able to like. Okay.
Yes.
That might be cool.
But you couldn't do any of the 2 maps that are in the previous tangle in the second tangle.
Right. And you're not going to get the cards anyway because the cards don't drop. So.
Yeah.
Except for that early league abuse that's now been fixed. Have you guys seen that where the people were getting the brothers' stashes, I think? Or what was it? Brothers' gifts? Because you could swap... You could swap the map that it dropped in with like a tier 1 map, and then in the tier 1 map, all the other cards that you could have dropped in that map were excluded, other than the Brothers card that gives the Divines, and then you use the mechanic that gave you a guaranteed div card drop from that map, right? It was a Scarab, I believe, or was it a Kirek mission? I don't remember.
It was a Scarab.
Yeah. Crazy. I mean, no blame. Like, I'm not trying to like No shot
I
at
wasn't-
GGG. Obviously, when there's so many new things being added, there's easily oversights can happen.
The best part is it
Unfortunately.
wasn't even against the rules. It wasn't a bug. It was just a
Clever
like
use
it
of
did
game
exactly
mechanics.
what it said on the tin. It followed exact game mechanics exactly as they should work, and just didn't see that happening.
Yeah. Exactly. I feel like it's like a weird thing to ban, but it wouldn't be weird for them to delete the currency. Like I feel like they should have just deleted these people's currency and been like, like
Oops,
being
sorry.
abusive. Yeah.
And don't
but
you think that
I
would
do
have set a
also-
bad precedent?
They didn't get banned for that.
They did, no? Yeah. The
I
entire
don't know what
guild
it was they
banned.
got banned for exactly.
But maybe they were like,
I'm like 95% sure they didn't get banned for doing that thing.
right, so they were probably doing
There
some
would
other
have been
stuff.
something else because they didn't break any rule in the action of doing that. Right?
Yeah.
There's
I mean, it
nothing.
definitely isn't a bug. It was unintended, but it's not a bug.
Yeah. I don't like have information. I'm just like 95% sure that something dodgy went on. Like they did something it wasn't for that. Because they didn't break any single rule in that action. Right?
Really important to distinguish the difference between something that's unintended by GGG and a bug. Because if you can get banned for unintended things, isn't that what we're all trying to find?
Well,
Really
they
strong
actively
interaction
encourage
they didn't know
unintended.
about? Yeah, that's
Right?
Yeah.
Like they
cool.
they've said about
so-
uniques and whatnot, like, oh, we put these interactions in, not even knowing what people will do with them. Sometimes you surprise us all. Like, that's what they want us to do is surprise them. This was just something. The fact that they fixed it in an hour was amazing, and the fact that the people got banned for it, I am like 95% certain had nothing to do with the actual event. Those people did something dodgy. I don't know if they did something, said something, RMT'd it. I don't know what they did, but I'm sure it wasn't for that.
Yeah, I
Right?
tend to believe that.
I'm sure they misbehaved in some other way.
I have a thought experiment though, because do you think GG would have found out if they hadn't like shown off about it?
No, that's a problem.
See, I think that is a massive problem, because like I thought about this a bunch. Like, why isn't there like some type of like alarm bells that go off when like all of a sudden like thousands and thousands and thousands of divines are just being like generated out of thin air? Like there should be something that like rings at their office, like like it wakes up Chris Wilson on his phone. It's like, bzz, Chris, somebody's making 10,000 divines per hour with div cards. Like, and
The,
it's like,
the tech
shut
is
it down.
there. The pilfering rings already do that work. They keep track. So if somebody loots 25,000 divines in a day, maybe see what's going on.
Well, I mean, I guess with like direct loot drops, they would see that, and they have things in place for that. My guess with that specific interaction is that they just didn't foresee that happening, and that's why it also happened to make it into the game. And like, it's really hard to put measures in that catch things that you don't expect to happen, right?
Yeah.
Yes, but if people are making multiple mirror trades per day on day 2, there's no normal game system that allows for that. So once you I don't know what the threshold is, but there is a threshold of what is possible for one person to do in a day. And it doesn't mean you auto ban people who are
the
the
trick
alarm
would
goes
be
off
it's
for.
just an
You look
alarm
into
for a
it.
human to look at it, right?
Right. You have
You're
one
like,
person
alarm
on
went
staff
off.
that goes, all right, let me make sure that the economy isn't being shattered by 5 people who came up with this weird system.
Yeah. Because unfortunately, it does affect us all, whether we like it or not.
This time
Like,
it didn't
for example,
really.
last league. Yeah, this time it was caught early, but like last league, for example, like it's like, man, the whole economy went to shit. Just overinflation is not good for anybody. As much as like people like to pretend like, oh, I can get my head onto for cheap. Like that's the one positive thing about overinflation is like cheap uniques, but then everything else goes up. Like rares go up, like anything that's
This for me comes back to like the league thing. It's fine to have that sort of broken overinflation 5 dip headhunters one time.
But if it's a league thing, it's every league because that's what it's been, and that just becomes the norm.
But what I was saying was like, it's fine to do that one time. It's not fine that becomes normal. You don't want 5-div headhunters to exist all the time. That would be bullshit. But if you have a 5-div headhunter one league, that's fine.
Yeah, sure. Because I mean, they're still like going to be like adorned and original sin or whatever. They have kind of like inflation protection.
And like a lot of people get to play with it for one time. And that here's what really happens, at least in my experience. Somebody who's never been able to afford a headhunter before got to put a headhunter on. And then they enjoyed it so much, they came into the next league determined to figure out how to get one again, knowing it was going to be 100 now instead of 5, and that other people do it every league. And then they're like, okay, I'm going to have to work this out. And then they do like the research and they figure out what grind to do, and they go and do the grinding, and then they end up like getting better to chase that thing because they got to experience it and went, hey, that was so much fun, I need to do it again. So like
play devil's advocate.
Happens.
The flip side is a league releases that is not Affliction or Necropolis, and then everyone screams Poverty League, which is what's happening, right? And then they quit.
Yeah, that's just the other side of the exact same coin. I don't think you can have one of those without the other.
I mean, taking the grind out of grinding gear games and giving people 5 divine headhunters shortens the lifespan of the game for that person. If you defeat the game, whatever that means to you, faster, there's less for you to do.
It's true.
So
that's true on a per league basis, but I'd argue that in the long run, if they do one generosity league every 2 years or once a year, then more people get to experience that high level of gearing, that high level of character power, and then they crave it afterwards, giving them more persistence to play the game for longer to reach that level. Because that's exactly what happened with me personally during Piranda's League, where all of a sudden, like, chase uniques were like readily available for everyone, and like a 6-link shafts, a 6-link lightning coil was actually, you were able to obtain that when previously that was just a completely unaffordable goal for you. And then every league since that, I've had higher standards for a build and was able to like get myself to that point more consistently because I just knew what I was investing time for.
Yeah, that's fair.
Speaking of which, we got the retention graph here from the Reddit that I wanted to bring up real quick, because it looks like at this point, we got the best retention for a league in recent times, at least.
These are brought up all the time, and I feel like there's so many things. Like, I love this league. I'm actually like I'm very much loving it. I do hope we get more crops and ore in our maps, but other than that, fucking love it. I love garrison systems. Everything about it is good. But like, there's so many things that happen that can affect that graph. There's even a bunch of things that are outside of the control of GGG. Like, other game releases, time of year, whether it's on holiday or not, whether Diablo 4's in a shit state. Wait, never mind. That's always like everything else can affect it too. I just feel like it means nothing. It's just there's too much other data that you need to make that stat worth anything.
I wouldn't say it means nothing. It has some value, but you have to consider the circumstances. Sorry, please, Arrow.
I agree, but like, look at that list right there. What are the least fun leagues? They're the ones with the lowest retention. I mean, pretty consistently on that short list there. I think it was agreed by most people outside of probably Sentinel.
You thought Crucible was more fun than Sanctum and Necropolis?
I mean, 62 to 61 is very close, but I mean, like, the outliers, Necropolis did very, very poorly because it wasn't fun to play and people left. So the 12% difference between this and Necropolis, I think, is more of a statistically relevant number than 61 to 62.
True. I have a pretty cynical take.
Oh, Doomer.
You guys might not like to hear it, but I think people haven't quit yet because they're led to like the promised land of it gets good when you upgrade your town to max. To max. Then they realize it's shit. They'll be like, I'm out of here, bro. But like, I hope they buff it before then, because I think that's actually like what's coming. If if it keeps going the way it is.
All right. So we're hoping for a what we're working on coming out in the
Yeah,
first couple
maybe
days of the
buff.
next work week, I guess.
Maybe like new weapon enchants as well. Like they could just add so much stuff if they wanted to, because they've been doing some mid-league buffs in the previous few leagues. So I'm really hoping that they just like, and not necessarily buffs, but just like even just add stuff like new weapon enchants, like cool stuff.
Yeah.
Weapon enchants made me think. So there's some really, really, really cool weapon enchants. There's the Ghost Wand. For anyone who doesn't know, it costs you like 45 div right now to do it, but it's very expensive. But it literally puts a ghost in you that has like a base of 30% movement speed, attack speed, cast speed, and something else. Damage. That's like 30% increase across the board. And then gives you a random ghost in every map you go into. It could be
Tormented
the
Spirit.
whole ghost pool. Yeah. And you can wear 2 of them, which is fantastic. But that's really fun, but it only goes on wands. So you have to be a wander to be able to do that. And then there's the really, really cool
Or a
one
spellcaster.
that's, well, yeah, somebody wearing a wand. You have to be someone wearing wands to be able to do it. And then there's a really cool one for, I think it's two-handed swords that has 100% increased local elemental damage, which can literally up to double the LED DPS of your sword. That's
That
really
costs
cool.
like 30 divs as
Yeah,
well.
that's really, really cool. And then there are other things like my minion build that I'm playing right now. The best enchant I have is 33% increased damage.
Yeah.
I have 800% increased damage on the build. That wasn't very impactful. It wasn't interesting. It wasn't fun. It didn't do anything. It was just like, here's 20 chaos worth of, okay, grats. Here's another 33% on your largest number that you have. I think that bench is like a missed opportunity. There's so many really cool things that could have been done, right? And I
They
don't
were
know.
too stingy with the weapons that got enchants.
Yeah.
Like return projectiles is only on two-handed swords, so like there's 3 skills that can use it in the game.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. I feel like they didn't have to give it to every weapon. I get like localizing it to make it more, I guess, less generic power, but it feels like they might have had a build in mind for each one of these, or they just like roll the dice, right? Like, I guess we'll throw this fire damage on two-handed axes and that's it. We'll be done.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I hope they expand that maybe in a patch to allow
Like,
more weapons.
Because I'm playing minions, I'm only like super familiar with the minion version of everything here. But there are like versions for everything else too. But there's like there's a conditional minion enchant that does 22 to 30% minion damage if you've hit a minion recently. That's its highest tier, or if you've hit recently. Conditional. And then there's a non-conditional version that's 30 to 39%, which is higher. It's just always on. So that one's weird. But then if you play other things, like if I had like a two-handed staff, you can have like +1 golem or
Right.
+1 to level of minions, which that sounds just as boring as percent increase, but it isn't, because it gets you like, it gets a bunch of builds into like extra Spectre territory or extra this territory, like an extra buff thing or like something cool. You could do things with like a nerve on hit, or like there's so many different things you could introduce just for one league that would make me build different builds. And there are a bunch of them in there. But then there's a bunch of people that just get nothing. And you're like, it could have been really good.
I don't want to sound like a total doomer. I think it's very cool, and I'm going to make a lot of builds this league. But it just feels like I'm locked in on so many of the really cool ones that it's not like there's a great amount of, I guess, scope for a rune enchant that only exists on one weapon. When weapons decide your skill, I just hope they expand it.
I almost would have loved to have gone backwards instead of forwards. What I mean by that is like, instead of saying, return projectiles is really strong, we can't just give that to everyone, let's just put it on swords. instead go, oh, return projectiles is really, really strong. We can't just give that to bows, wands, or claws because those are the obvious things that everybody wants to do with them. So rule those 3 out and leave it on everything else and see what happens. Right? Because that would be fun. You'd be like, okay, so not the 3 things that first came to mind, not claws, not bows, not wands. Those are the 3 that I would want return on all the time. And then you go, okay, well, what else can I do? And then you start having to think about everything else that could possibly exist.
Are wands really that broken that we cannot have it on wands though? Like, come on.
No, but they're the obvious 3 still though, right?
Yeah. But that's kind of like my annoyance with it. It's like I get not putting it on bows, forcing them to like, go Nimbus or something, but it's like, come on, man. Let us play wands.
Yeah, they're not,
Right.
but like, at least in my mind, like those are the obvious 3 where it would be cool. It would give me power, but would it give me a new build? Nope. It would not. Whereas if you just take it off the obvious
That's
things
true.
and leave it on everything else, well, now I'm real interested. Now it might be new build time. Now I'm like, oh, what can I think up? What weapon can I put this on? What skills can I use? That seems way more interesting. That's all. Seems more interesting
That's
to do
true.
it that way.
Agreed.
I'm enjoying the
Yeah.
the Val dagger thing. I just swapped from claws to daggers just so I could have like Val lightning strike up all the time. So I mean, for me, I'm like,
What is that
happy
specific
at the very
mod?
least-
There's a runecrafting mod on daggers that makes Val Souls more available? Or like chance to not
it doesn't-
consume?
No, it's nothing to do with like soul cost, but it doesn't makes you not incur soul gain prevention.
Oh.
So, like you still have to solve soul cost, which in my situation I don't because I'm just like mapping, so I have
Yeah, you just put so much juice on your maps that it's so dense that every Val use you get so many kills that it fills up again, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. But see, it's kind of like in a way balanced around the fact that it's almost impossible to get soul cost reduction in Path of Exile because like you still people are like, oh, I can play like like all these Val skills now. It's like, yeah, no, like because like the way that you were doing it before is like with the Atsiri ring, which gives you like massive soul cost reduction, and that's the only way that you can actually spam it. So like the only other way to actually like get souls is by like reducing them and then getting a way that generates them, and the way that generates them would be like Soul Ripper with Valbala, and like only like 2, like you would go like no flask, only 2 Soul Rippers, so they just like they ping pong each other and it just fills up your Val thing. So like soul game prevention is one thing to solve, but then soul cost is also like a massive hurdle. So it's not quite as easy as just like put on the weapon and infinite Val skills. Or you can go like Hate Forge, but Hate Forge still requires you to have like rage generation. And rage generation is like a bit sus. The way to solve rage generation would be with gloves, but since you're using Hate Forge, you can't use gloves, obviously. So it's like a bit tricky, that one. You used to have to go for like the Rot Blood weirdo, no belt. Like, I don't know, sacrificing your belt in Path of Exile is like is a no-go in my opinion.
Obviously, we need a keystone passive that allows you to put gloves on your feet. Because sacrificing the boot slot for a second pair of gloves sounds completely fair, because you're not getting access to movement speed and the ailment stuff and shit on gloves, right?
Or just give us a keystone passive that gives us mage blood. Thoughts?
Right?
Good idea.
I mean, subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe to the YouTube, definitely.
To the
Wait,
page.
was that? What?
What do you mean?
I thought you were softly trying to nudge me towards concluding the podcast by saying subscribe. So it has to make me do my ending monologue. Before we end, though, like I want to quickly ask what you guys want to see in the what we're working on. I mean, we already provided a lot of feedback, but like more like concise, like really quick, like 1, 2, 3 points that you really need to see for the league to be a winner for you in a what we're working on.
more plots for farming, more ore from high tier maps, I think would solve all of my problems with the current league mechanic.
Also, or scaling, like Balor mentioned, with the
Right.
player quant or map quant. I mean,
So investing gets you more.
yeah, sounds reasonable. What you got, Tuna?
Just like remove the multipliers from T17s. They don't need to exist. It ruins Path of Exile endgame farming. It's awful.
Okay.
And yeah, the mechanics. But yeah, I am very passionate about this, like fucking like 200% more scarabs. Like, and then it's like everything else sucks. I hate it. It's so sad.
I still think the
They
whole
already
thing-
get boss fragments that are like worth like 1 div when they kill the boss. Like, why do they need multiplicative loot increases as well? I really don't get it. Because like they already do essentially get multiplicative loot increases from mobs themselves. Like it just being more rewarding in general, and there being more mobs and all that kind of stuff. It's just like, I don't know. Like I have a friend that came back to the game after a while, and it's like he asked me like, so let me get this right. Not only do they drop boss fragments, but they also drop like 300% more loot. And it's like, yeah, it's like, oh well, and he just quit the league. It's like legit. It's like, cool.
Well,
Logged right out.
Yeah.
oh, damn. Well, what do you got, Balor?
For me, there's nothing we can do about tier 16s this league. I don't think they'll change anything mid-league, but I do agree
Tier
they need to
17s, you
be
mean?
fixed. 17, sorry. Do agree they need to be fixed. For me, it's just the stuff. I just want more. I just want the ore to go with the difficulty in my map. It doesn't even have to be 1-for-1. Like, you don't, just because I enter a map with 300 quant doesn't mean you need to give me 3 ores worth. You could halve it. If I have 300 quant in my map, you could give me 1.5 times, and that would still be something, right? Like, it should scale. And the second thing is if you could unnerf Dark Marionettes, because that didn't do anything. The people who wanted them for blessings are still using them for blessings. The only thing you did was ruin my build, which wasn't even a tenth as strong as the one I'm playing anyway. It was just fun. Give me my build back. It was just really fun. It wasn't even good. I want it back. That would say that'd do everything for me. I'd be the happiest I've ever been.
Oh. Yeah. For me, I gotta say it's the Recombinator thing. Like, I really think that as long as Recombinators are like a special thing that they brought back for this league as a league-specific reward, sure, if they go core, nerf it all you want, right? We're used to that. With things going core, they need to be watered down. But as long as it's the reward that I get for engaging with this league that I work towards, I want it to be something that I feel good about, where, like, I don't know, like I said, it seems so unrealistic to be trying to get any mod with a lower weighting onto another item. Maybe I just haven't tried enough, but if it was a little bit better, I don't think that would hurt too much. And I think every league should have like 2 or 3 really pog things that you can get back for it. And for now, like, the only thing that I found really exceptionally good are the better rares that you get back from shipping that sometimes have like triple, quadruple tier 1s. I got a really nice cock wand, I got a really nice caster dagger and some stuff. And then on another note, what is the point of bringing back an old mechanic, right, for the hype that is essentially only the same in name but works completely different? So you're just you're riding on the hype that it had back then, but you're not delivering what it was back then, and then might as well be a different mechanic and called differently, and that would maybe cause less trouble. I don't know, like maybe I'm just jaded. Yeah, exactly, affliction, right? Like, what's the point of bringing them back at all if you bring them back in a shape or form where people are just going to be disappointed and are going to be feeling like they're let down? Then you could just introduce a new thing, and then people would be less trying to compare it to the old thing. And yeah, again, I don't see why they couldn't be what they were just for the league, and then next league, whatever. I guess what I also really would like is more availability of skilled workers. I think, like, what you said about top end, like, mappers, you have to re-roll like 2 million gold in order to find your full mapping crew. Sounds a little excessive.
No, not full mapping crew, like 3.
No, 3? To find 1, 2 million won't even fill out 1 atlas with tier 10s.
Yeah, no, I've spent millions, and I have only 1 map device with all rank 10s.
Yeah, and I don't think it's even the gold cost. It's just like the tedious to stand there and click re-rolling. That's not playing the game.
Yeah, it's
You
boring.
know what I would fix for that? It's the high cost reroll.
Yeah.
You can't use it because the high cost reroll will quite often give you a guy who's tier 10, but also tier 9 and 2 other things. And he costs 11 billion gold per hour because he's overqualified for the job. I want that expensive one to give me like dudes who only know one thing.
Specialists.
Yeah. Give me specialists that are really good. They don't have any double ups. That would be.
I love how we're all
that'd be
learning
cool.
about capitalism in this league.
Yeah. Dude's overqualified. He costs too much for the job, man. I need someone packing boxes. This dude can be a CEO somewhere. I'm not paying that wage.
I got called out for that misconception when in my video I claimed, hey, it's just like in the real world, the higher skilled worker gets more money. And comments were like, no, that's not how it works in the real world.
It's not the real world. Also, it's not always true in the game either. You got to look out for that. I've got one tier 10 miner who I ended up getting rid of because I looked at him. He didn't have any other skills. He was just a miner. And you can mine with like 4 dudes. And he wanted like 1,100 gold per hour. And I was like, what? You're just doing... No, not for that. Sorry, bud. Out you go.
No, that guy had a family, so...
Yeah, well, now he can't feed them. He's gone.
Damn. Well, I'm really enjoying this. I've been enjoying this, but before we go too long, I mean, I'm very aware that we started like 15 minutes late because we all had like or the majority of us had some issues, and then half of us.
And Arrow over here.
Exactly, the 2 arrows at me. True. 3 versus 2 majority. But like, is there anything that you guys still want to bring up that you felt we should discuss, or before we conclude?
Maybe just that like we discuss a lot of the negatives, right? But it's not that like we hate the game or whatever, right? It's just that more like this is the perspective of what we think is wrong. But of course, if you were to ask us what you think is right, we'd have like more good things to say about the game. So yeah, before people start typing mad like these people are jaded and hate the game, that's just something to point out.
Yeah, this has been one of my favorite leagues in quite a long time.
Mine too. Like I'm
having
really having a lot of fun. It's great.
Maybe we should cut this and put it at the beginning on the YouTube video so people don't think we're doomers.
Right?
I can try for the re-upload, but like, as far as this goes, I mean, this is live on YouTube and will just remain as a VOD on the channel.
Right.
Right. No, that's always important to point out. We all love the game. We wouldn't be doing a podcast and like playing it as much and talking about it as much as we do. But when we do these podcasts, we always find that there's a lot of things that we're like, if just this little thing and that little thing, it would be the best ever, right?
Yeah, we want the game to be better, right? Like that's the whole point of complaining. We just want it to be better. But I mean, like we don't know what's best for the game as well. It's not like we're all knowing. Just maybe give some like point out our annoyances and make the developers think about it if they listen to these podcasts, which I hope they do. Yeah.
Whenever I'm on my own stream, I always tell people when I come up with ideas or say that there are problems or that these might be solutions, it's important to remember I'm fucking nobody. I'm just some dude who's got a camera in his face and for some reason got lucky enough to fucking fill a room with people watching him. I don't have any qualifications. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. My opinion is no more valid than yours.
You just have a microphone.
Yeah, I just get a microphone and I paid a lot for it. That's it.
I do think you're qualified because you play the game more than everybody else. I think that in itself is a qualification. So, I mean, don't take that for granted. There are tons
of people who play the game a shitload as well.
Yeah, but of course, absolutely. But
like, got banned
you're 99% of people don't, right? So, in a way, like they're qualified too, but so are you. It's just like, kind of like, I mean, people like developers will hire people with experience like you to literally rip apart their game, and that's kind of like in a way. Like, don't undermine yourself is what I'm trying to say. Like,
don't sell yourself below value, Balor.
Yeah. I think playing a game.
I mean, only when we discuss the salary for the podcast, when I'm finally able to pay
you.
you.
All getting paid for this.
I wish. Anyway, no, that's a really good thing. Thanks for bringing that up. We did have that thought loop, and like we brought that up on many episodes, like Balor and I. But like it does get forgotten to bring up. And like if new players checking out Path of Exile, they're like, oh, I really like this game. Let's tune into one of the community podcasts, and they're like, these guys are just shitting on the game all the time. It must be really bad.
Super quick note. Everybody quickly change one of your flasks into a gold flask. You'll be wearing one for the rest of the league. It gets you more gold. It gets you more gold. You get more gold.
I'm
I'm
just
wearing
wearing
gold
it. I
flask.
hate it.
I'm not putting on a fucking gold flask.
I'm taking it off after this. I hate it.
Yeah, just stack rarity affixes on your gear for permanent gold flasks.
Oh no, dude.
Speaking of which, one quick point. People are sleeping on the Venter's Gamble with up to
They're so
18% mana reservation efficiency on it. I have one that is GG that cost me like 5 divines. You can solve, lose your anoint, get 100 plus res, 60, 70 life. Go get Aventers for your build.
Venters are crazy.
And rare.
Yeah, and you increase your gold, exactly. Well, see, I had no idea that rarity affects gold, but now I'm going to be looking for that stat on my future items.
Specifically, gold converts loot. So rare items turn into more gold. So rarity gives you more rare items. Rare items on the ground were garbage anyway. You had them hidden. You don't have gold hidden, so you get more gold.
Are all my
So
gift cards getting converted to gold? Is that what's happening?
All your divines, all your mage blood, all of that stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is it like, does it pick only the bad rares or the bad items, or does it like turn my 6 tier 1 items that drop into gold?
I think it just picks rares.
Wait, those don't drop.
Like we all hide rares from our filter past week 1, right? I suppose.
All right.
It's okay.
Well, yeah, I got a little bit of longer ado for the outro today because I need to talk about something really important, and that is a Gamescom coming up in 18 days, and in a little bit more than 2 weeks from now. Gamescom in Cologne is the biggest gaming convention, and we're going to be expecting grinding gear games there with a stand next to 11th hour games, so we can expect to see some really cool PoE 2 news and some Last Epoch news. And I'm of course going to be visiting Gamescom. I've been invited to go there and to play PoE 2 and record some footage. And on top of that, what I really want to do is I've always wanted to organize a meetup for PoE in Germany. And since I heard that this year, Grinding Gear Games is not doing an official PoE meetup in Cologne next to Gamescom, unlike last year, for whatever reason, I don't know why, it's just secondhand information that they're not doing it, I've decided to take it upon myself to contact fellow streamers and to network a little bit and to try to get things working. We're still scouting for a location where we're doing it, but currently the plan is on Friday, the 23rd of August, starting in the afternoon, that we'll bring a rented barbecue, gas barbecue, maybe some opportunities to cool some stuff. I want to provide a lot of Adana kebab, Turkish flatbread, yogurt sauce, and salad for everyone to go around. Like, I want to cover basic needs like that, but it will be bring your own beverages. And I already got confirmed visits from like some people in my community. We got Loipi and Koitzoit from the German streamers joining. There might be more coming as we get the word out. I'll write a Reddit post in the next couple of days. If you join my Discord, there's a dedicated Discord section for meetup related news, and that's basically it. There's also been like here the notifications in the mentions in the chat. If you do !meetup in my chat, in the Twitch chat, you'll get that information exactly when we're doing it and where to go into the Discord to find the information. It's just like I said, not everything is set in stone yet because I don't live directly in Cologne. I live in a neighbor city, so I need to go scout for locations and find something that is appropriate and relatively close to the con, so people don't have to go by public transport for like half an hour just to come to the meetup after they've visited the con, right? That would be preferable. But worst case scenario, we're going to have to go for something like that because in the end, it's going to be important that the accommodation, the location accommodates like the amount of people that are coming, plus the needs for me to put the barbecue there and everything, right? But yeah, more news on the next FATED about that. I'll keep you updated, and I'll also post news in the Discord and everywhere else. Right, that was a big chunk of info, but yeah, Be hyped. If we're going to document it, there's going to be someone wielding a camera there. People can obviously opt out of being filmed, but like I think I want to at least do like a little YouTube video about the meetup, and maybe we can get some devs to join. Who knows? Would be cool. But we're going to be doing it regardless of who comes, because even if I'm just with my friends, 5 to 10 people and some streamers, we're going to be having a great time there. So don't worry that it's not going to happen. Unless it's really bad weather and raining really hard, we'll have to shift it to a pub or a restaurant or something. No, that's my point that I wanted to get across, and I'm cutting everything else short. Visit these lovely content creators. Arrow and Tuna have a lot of guides and build guides on the big site they joined that has a name that starts with M and ends with Maxroll. And then Balor is also providing guides for his community. We already linked some Atlas strats and stuff. I'll put them into the description as well. So yeah, if you appreciate those resources and if they help you play the game, then please support these content creators because they're doing awesome work. And other than that, please support me, because I'm going to have to front a shitload of money for the meetup in order to buy the meat and to rent the barbecue. So thanks for everyone supporting via Patreon, via Twitch subs, via YouTube. If you've done that recently, you're mentioned on the end screen. What's not on the end screen is the guy that dropped a 25 gift sub bomb in the chat yesterday. Thanks, Raptor MG. And we're going to do another podcast episode, 11 a.m. GMT in a week from now. That is August 11th. And we're going to be joined by none other than King Kalguur and Gazi TV to, first time appearance of King Kalguur. So we're going to talk about his absence from Twitch a little bit. And he's also going to have interesting opinions as he is a returning player to PoE, right? He is a big ARPG enthusiast and excited player, but he hasn't played PoE when he was unable to stream it because he felt it was pointless. And so he only returned to PoE during the last year when he got his Twitch account back. And it's going to be interesting to hear his takes because they're going to vary greatly from other people's takes. That said, thank you all for watching. It was a wonderful episode. Thanks Tuna and Arrow for being guests and for fighting through various adversities such as tech difficulties to make this appearance happen. Especially Arrow, who had to get up really early in his day and probably is going to take a nap now. Is any one of you gentlemen
get up at 4:30 this morning? Both of us were.
Is any one of you going live? Can I try and raid?
I'll be live.
You'll be live? Can you get the stream live before I end this one so I can directly raid? Or is it impossible during the podcast? Because then I'll stall a little bit more and talk about random things. Like I've been putting in a lot of effort during this entire podcast and not been going to pee, even though my bladder is almost exploding. So that's that's some dedication right there. Some people do that during PoE races. I heard there's a race going on tonight between SteelMage and Zizaran teaming up against Alkaiser and Ben. Right? They're doing like a race to watch. Is that today? I think it's today. Wait, let's promote that because I think PoE racing is super pog, and I'm a big fan of those 4 broadcasters. So let's quickly give them a shout out. I'm gonna try and bring up Zizaran's post about it, and then we can quickly speculate who's winning. Oh yeah. Sunday, 4th of August, 8 p.m. CEST. SteelMage and Zizaran will be taking on Lighty7 and Alkaiser, not Ben. Who did I say? I think I said someone else. But Alkaiser and Lighty, so Alkaiser and Ben. Right. And people can win a monitor there. Like, this is really insane. Wait, let me bring this up here. Present. It's always cool to see.
Are we winning a monitor?
I mean, I guess if you entered the giveaway, you're winning a monitor. I think. Wait, let me quickly show this. I don't know whether
So,
see
you
the
think
sound.
Ben is pretty good at racing, right? Well, Kaiser's pretty good too. Well, Ben's died a lot this league.
Oh my god.
Maybe he's washed up.
Oh, no.
Do you know who's not washed up? Me and SteelMage. On this Sunday, 7 p.m. UK time, we are going to be racing them with Rise QT casting, and we're going to show who the actual best player of Path of Exile is. But wait, there's more! On top of all this, we are giving away a Odyssey OLED G8 32-inch monitor, which will take your gaming to the next level. So if you're interested in seeing this, tune in on the Samsung channel, 7 p.m. on this Sunday, to see who really is the best racer.
Cool.
So, you think Ben is pretty good at racing, right?
Nope,
Kaiser's
he's playing
pretty
again.
good too?
I pressed the stop screen. All right, yeah, that was a pretty cool trailer.
Were you
Also,
on the
did the sound play properly?
Yeah.
Oh, nice, awesome. Yeah, that's cool. Looking forward to that. I'm going to be watching that a little bit, at least, if I can catch some of it. Because, like I said, I love watching PoE being played on the highest level, and these guys are some of my favorite people in the community. But that said, we have almost exclusively only awesome people in the community. And the people who are not awesome don't usually last very long. Yeah.
I
Anyway.
successfully went live.
All right, I'm initiating the raid. Thanks everyone, guys, for tuning in. It was a POG podcast, and we'll see you
Thank you for
next
having me.
week.
Have a good day, everybody.
Damn,
Thanks for having me
2
on,
minutes more, and it would have been 2:22:22, but we can't make that happen. All right, playing the outro right now. Bye bye, guys. Next time.
I know a lot of people want to send blankets or water. Just send your cash.